I still remember that night. The wind was cold, whispering through the tall palm trees that guarded the beach house. Inside, the old house creaked as if it were alive, groaning under its own weight. The waves hit the shore like distant drums, steady and unrelenting, blending with the faint squeak of the floorboards whenever someone moved. It was the kind of night that made your skin crawl without a reason, the kind that held secrets in every shadow. He had been standing in the hallway for hours, staring at the photograph on the wall. A picture of his mother laughing on the balcony, hair tangled in the sea breeze, eyes shining bright under the sun. She didn't know yet. She didn't know that tomorrow everything would change. He had sold the beach house, every last inch of it, the rooms where he had grown up, the balcony where his father used to smoke cigars, the garden where he and his friends had spent countless summers chasing fireflies, all gone. The truth, though, was heavier than the sale itself. That secret weighed on him, a constant knot in his chest, twisting tighter with every breath he took. He had told himself he was doing it for her, for their safety, for a life free from shadows. But the guilt ate at him, gnawed at his mind like the waves eroding the sand outside. His mother's voice called from the kitchen. "Are you still awake? You've been quiet all evening." He swallowed hard. "Yeah, just thinking." His voice sounded strange even to him, too soft, too careful, like a man trying not to spill a dangerous truth. She appeared in the doorway, her nightgown brushing the floor, hair loosely tied back, eyes tired but kind. "You've been distant," she said. "Is something wrong?" He forced a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "No, Mom, just a lot on my mind." She nodded, suspicion lingering but unspoken. She trusted him, and he knew it. That trust made his stomach churn with guilt. He wanted to tell her to spill the truth right then, but he couldn't. Not tonight. Not here. There were forces at work, things from the past that she could never understand. Outside, the wind grew stronger, rattling the windows. He shivered, pulling his sweater tighter around him. The sound of the ocean was hypnotic, almost comforting, but it also reminded him of that night, the one he would never forget. The night everything started to change. He remembered sneaking into the attic when he was 10, chasing a shadow he had imagined and finding a hidden box under the floorboards. A box full of letters, old photographs, and papers that made him feel both curious and afraid. His father had always been secretive, and the box was proof that there were things in the world he wasn't supposed to know. Things that, if discovered, could ruin lives. Now, years later, the weight of secrets was his alone. He had found something again tonight, something that made his hands sweat and his heart pound like a drum in his chest. It was a letter, yellowed and fragile, tucked behind a loose brick in the fireplace. The handwriting was unmistakable as father's. He hesitated before opening it. The words would change everything, and he wasn't sure if he was ready. The room felt colder suddenly, the shadows deeper, almost reaching for him. He unfolded the paper with trembling hands. "If you are reading this, it means the house is no longer safe. Do not trust anyone outside. Keep her safe. Protect her at all costs." His heart skipped a beat. His father's words were urgent, desperate, and frightening. He had never understood fully what his father had meant when he warned him to protect her. Now, standing alone in the dim light of the hallway, he realized he might finally understand. A sudden noise startled him, a soft thump from upstairs. He froze. The house was empty. His mother had gone to bed hours ago. No one else should be here. The thump came again, heavier this time, followed by a low creak, as if someone was moving carefully. Almost silently, he held his breath, listening. The hairs on his arms stood up. "Hello," he called softly, almost whispering, afraid of the answer. Silence followed. Just the ocean, the wind, and the occasional groan of the old house. He stepped forward cautiously, each footfall careful on the wooden floor. The shadows seemed to stretch and twist as he moved, reaching toward him, hiding something. He climbed the stairs slowly, the letter still clutched in his hand. Upstairs, the hallway was empty. The bedrooms were dark, doors closed, curtains swaying slightly with the breeze. Then he saw it. A shadow at the far end of the hallway. Not human exactly, but moving with intent. He blinked, rubbed his eyes. The shadow was gone. But the feeling remained, the sense that someone or something was watching him, waiting for him to make a mistake. He backed down the stairs, heart racing. The letter burned in his pocket, a reminder of why he was here, why he had to act carefully. The house was not just a house. It was a trap, a memory, a warning, and soon it would be gone forever. He returned to the living room, trying to steady his breathing. Outside, the moonlight reflected on the waves, silver and calm, but the peace was deceptive. He could feel something was coming, something that would make the morning's revelation even more dangerous. His mother's soft snores reached him from upstairs. She had no idea what was about to happen. No idea that tomorrow she would wake up and find her beloved beach house gone, sold without her knowledge. And worse, she had no idea about the letter, the secret, the shadow that had just passed through the hallway. He sank into the old armchair by the window, gripping the letter tightly. He thought about the years they had spent here, the laughter, the tears, the storms they had survived together. And he thought about the lies, the truths buried so deep they almost seemed invisible. How could he tell her without shattering everything? A gust of wind slammed the window shut, rattling the panes. He jumped, the letter slipping from his fingers. It fell to the floor, the pages fluttering like wings, exposing words he wasn't sure he wanted anyone to see. The handwriting seemed alive in the dim light. A whisper of a voice from the past calling out to him. Suddenly, the phone rang. Sharp, piercing, unexpected. He froze. No one ever called this late. Who could it be? With trembling hands, he picked it up. The screen was blank, no number, no name. Just the dial tone, steady and ominous. Then a voice, low and urgent, whispered, "You shouldn't have sold it." The line went dead. He dropped the phone, heart hammering. The shadows in the room seemed to thicken, pressing in closer. The house was alive tonight, and it was angry. The air smelled of salt and fear, and the familiar creaks and groans of the old structure now sounded like threats. He knew he had to prepare. Tomorrow, when he told his mother, everything would change. But tonight, the night before the revelation, the night of shadows and whispers, he was alone with his fears. And he could not escape the feeling that someone or something was watching, waiting for him to make the first move. He returned to the hallway, peering into the darkness at the stairs. The shadows were still there, lingering, shifting with the faint light of the moon. His hand brushed the wall, feeling the rough texture of the plaster, grounding himself in reality. But reality felt thin tonight, fragile. Like a glass window that could shatter with a single touch. A soft whisper came again, barely audible over the wind. "Protect her." He turned, heart racing, but no one was there. Just the house, alive with secrets, waiting. He sank to the floor, hugging his knees, letter clutched to his chest. He thought about what tomorrow would bring, how his mother would react, how the house itself seemed to mourn its own sale. He could hear the ocean, relentless and patient, washing away memories, yet somehow leaving the weight of the past heavier than ever. Minutes felt like hours, hours like days. Every creak, every groan, every whisper made him jump. Made him feel as if the house itself knew he was holding back something vital, something that could change everything. And then, just as he was about to close his eyes, a floorboard upstairs cracked loudly. Not a creak, not a whisper, an unmistakable snap. Like someone stepping firmly in the dark, he froze. The shadows at the end of the hallway moved again. Something was coming. Something that could not be ignored. And in that moment, he realized that the truth he had been hiding from his mother, the truth that had haunted him for years, was not going to stay hidden much longer. He still had no idea who or what was watching him from the darkness. I still remember that morning. The first light of dawn broke through the curtains, casting pale stripes across the living room floor. The waves outside were calmer now, but the air was thick with unease, like the house itself was holding its breath. He had stayed awake most of the night, staring at the letter in his hands, rereading his father's words over and over. The shadows from the previous night still lingered in his mind. Their movement etched into his memory. His mother stirred upstairs. He could hear her footsteps across the old wooden floor, light and careful, a rhythm he had known all his life. She called out softly, "Are you awake?" But her voice carried a note of sleepiness that made him tense. He knew she would sense if anything was off, and he wasn't sure he could keep the truth hidden much longer. He stepped into the hallway. The letter tucked carefully into his pocket. The house felt unusually quiet, almost too quiet, as if it were waiting for something to happen. The smell of the ocean mixed with the faint scent of old wood and sea salt. Familiar and comforting in another time, but now it carried a sharp edge. Like a warning. "Morning, Mom," he said, forcing a casual tone he didn't feel. "Morning," she replied, peeking around the corner with a smile. Her eyes, warm and trusting, made him wince. He couldn't bear the thought of betraying her trust, yet he had no choice. Tomorrow she would wake up and the beach house would be gone. He poured a cup of coffee and sat at the kitchen table, staring out the window at the beach. The sand was wet from the tide, glimmering in the morning sun. Children used to play there, laughter echoing across the waves. But now the beach was empty. The emptiness seemed to mirror the heaviness in his chest. His mother came and sat across from him, plate of toast in her hands. She didn't speak immediately, just studied him quietly. He felt her gaze, soft but piercing, and a shiver ran down his spine. "You've been restless," she said finally. "Is everything okay?" He nodded quickly, trying to sound normal. "Yes, Mom. Just thinking about the house." Her smile faded slightly, suspicion flickering in her eyes. "You sold it, didn't you?" His stomach dropped. She didn't know everything, but she had guessed part of it. He tried to shake off the panic. "Not yet. I was planning to tell you tomorrow." Her hands trembled slightly as she reached for her coffee cup. "Tomorrow? Why wait?" "It's just, I feel something is wrong. Something is off." He didn't answer. The truth was hard to say, even if it might save her from something worse. He thought of the letter of his father's warnings, and of the shadow he had seen the night before. He realized that keeping the house in its secret safe meant keeping her in the dark, at least for now. A sudden sound made them both jump. A loud knock at the front door echoed through the house. Too heavy to be casual, too deliberate to be accidental. He froze, staring at the door, heart racing. "I'll see who it is," he said, moving toward the door. As he reached the knob, another knock followed immediately, louder this time. Hesitation froze his hand mid-motion. The letter in his pocket seemed to burn against his thigh. "Be careful," his mother whispered from behind him. Her voice was barely audible, but the fear in it made him shiver. He opened the door slowly. Outside, the porch was empty. Only the wind moved the hanging lanterns, causing shadows to dance on the walls. No one was there. Yet the feeling of being watched didn't leave him. He stepped back inside, locking the door behind him. "Did you see anyone?" his mother asked, her voice tight. "No. No one," he replied, though he could feel eyes on him even now. The house itself seemed alive, the wood creaking under invisible footsteps. The air thick and heavy. He returned to the kitchen table, trying to drink his coffee, but the warmth did nothing to calm him. Every noise in the house, every creak, groan, and whisper of the wind set his nerves on edge. He felt trapped in a world that had grown suddenly strange and dangerous. A world where the past was creeping in to claim him. Hours passed slowly. The sun rose higher, painting the walls with golden light. But the morning brought no relief. His mother moved around the house, tidying, humming softly, unaware of the storm inside him. Yet he noticed little things: a picture frame tilted slightly, a shadow in the hallway that didn't belong, a soft draft that seemed to come from nowhere. He thought about the letter again. His father's words repeated in his mind. "Do not trust anyone outside. Keep her safe." Who could he trust now? Was someone outside the house already aware of the secret? A knock came again, this time from the window. He spun around. A figure was standing outside, shrouded in the morning mist. Its face was hidden under a hood, motionless, watching. "Who is it?" his mother asked, walking up behind him. I I don't know," he whispered, panic rising. His hands shook as he reached for the curtains, pulling them back to reveal the figure. But when he did, the figure was gone. The mist had swallowed it, leaving only the cold breeze and a sense of dread that pressed down on them both. His mother frowned. "Are you sure you're feeling okay? Maybe you need to rest." He forced a laugh, though it sounded hollow. "Yes, I'm fine. Just tired, I guess." But he knew he wasn't fine. The house was waking up again, alive with secrets, with shadows moving just out of sight. He remembered the letters, the hidden boxes, the rooms he had avoided for years. Something was stirring inside the walls, something that had waited for this day, for him to act later that afternoon while trying to keep busy. He walked through the house, checking each room, the letter still burning in his pocket. Every familiar object seemed strange. Now the couch sagged differently. The staircase groaned more than usual. The windows reflected faces that weren't there. His mother was outside, tending to the garden, humming softly as she worked. He watched her for a moment, feeling the weight of guilt pressing him down. He wanted to protect her, to keep her safe from the truth and from the danger he knew was coming. But the longer he waited, the more precarious everything became. A sudden sound made him spin around. A drawer had opened on its own in the study. Papers scattered across the floor. The letter in his pocket felt hotter, like it was warning him. He bent down to pick it up. And that's when he saw the faint imprint of handwriting on the floor letters scratched into the wood. Almost invisible, but unmistakable. "Do not trust anyone." His breath caught in his throat. His father's warning again, carved into the house itself. The realization hit him hard. This house was not just a home. It was a sentinel, a warning, a cage of memories and secrets. And the figure from the window, someone had been here, watching, waiting. Maybe even leaving messages for him to find. He looked out the window at the garden where his mother still worked, oblivious to the danger. The sunlight fell on her hair like a halo, soft and golden, and he felt a wave of sorrow and fear. If she knew the full truth, would she understand? Could she survive the secrets that had haunted this house for decades? He heard the wind pick up again, rustling the trees, whispering through the open windows. Something brushed against the side of the house, a soft thud, almost like a footstep. He turned. But there was nothing. There only the shadows and the cold light of the late morning. He backed away from the window, heart pounding. He had to be careful now, more careful than ever. Tomorrow, he would tell his mother the truth about the house being sold. But tonight, or maybe even today, something had already begun. Something that could not be stopped. And then he heard it, a faint whisper, carried by the wind, almost too soft to catch. "Protect her." The hair on his arms stood up. He spun around, looking at every corner of the house, every shadow that had grown darker in the morning light. No one was there. But the message was clear. The danger was real, and it had already arrived. He clenched the letter in his hand, realizing that keeping his mother safe would not be simple. He couldn't just move out of the house or run. The secrets of the past had a life of their own. And someone or something was determined to see them revealed. As he watched his mother through the window, humming softly and unaware of the shadows creeping closer, he realized that the morning would not bring peace. It would bring choices. Decisions that could change everything. And in that moment, he knew the first step had been taken and there was no turning back. I still remember that day, though the memory felt like it belonged to someone else. The sunlight had been sharp, burning into the sand. And the waves had laughed against the shore as if mocking the trouble that lay ahead. He was a boy again, barefoot, running across the garden to the edge of the beach, carrying a bucket full of sand and dreams. The beach house loomed behind him, warm and solid, filled with the smell of old wood, salt, and memories he would later realize were more fragile than he thought. He remembered his father's voice, deep and serious, calling him back from the water. "Careful," he had shouted. "Don't let the tide take you too far." His father had a way of making danger sound ordinary every day, like a lesson wrapped in a warning. And for a moment he had felt safe, as if the world outside the house didn't exist. But that safety had been an illusion, a mask hiding truths that would surface much later. The letters he had found, the shadows in the hallway, the whispering wind, they all pointed to a past he had tried to forget. The house had been a vault, storing secrets he was never meant to uncover so early. And now, years later, the weight of those secrets pressed on him harder than the ocean wind ever could. He thought about the letter again. It's the one from his father, crumpled in his pocket. Do not trust anyone outside. Keep her safe. He didn't understand everything at the time, but he knew one thing clearly. Someone had been after the house, after the family, for reasons that were still hidden. And that someone was back now. The morning had passed with the tension building, the feeling of being watched never leaving him. Now, in the quiet of the afternoon, he decided to revisit the beach itself, the place where so many memories were buried beneath the sand. Maybe the waves could offer him clarity. Maybe they could wash away some of the fear, if only for a moment. He stepped outside, the sand cool beneath his feet. The beach was empty, abandoned except for the gulls circling lazily overhead. He walked slowly, letting the breeze hit his face, letting the salty air fill his lungs. But the calm was deceptive. Every rustle of palm leaves, every crashing wave, felt like a warning. He could feel the presence again, the same feeling from the window, from the hallway. The feeling that someone was waiting, watching. His mind wandered to the past. He remembered a summer when his mother had been happy, laughing as she painted the walls of the beach house a bright yellow. His father had stood nearby, quiet, mysterious, occasionally glancing at a locked drawer in his study. That drawer had always intrigued him, but he had never dared to open it, and now he understood why. The drawer had held clues, little pieces of a puzzle that explained why the house had always felt different, almost alive. He could see it clearly in his mind, the locked drawer. The letters inside, the photographs of strangers he did not recognize. People who seemed to belong to another life entirely. As he walked along the shoreline, he noticed something in the sand, a small, weathered box, half buried, almost invisible against the pale grains. He knelt down and brushed the sand away carefully, revealing the familiar worn leather of the box. His hands trembled as he opened it. Inside were old photographs, letters, and a key. The letters were older than the one he had found last night, written in the same hand as his father's. He read one slowly. If this letter is found, it means you are ready to know the truth. The house is not just a home. It is a shield. It protects more than memories. Protect it, protect her, and never let the outside world see what is hidden. The words were cryptic, but their urgency was clear. He felt a chill crawl up his spine. The house, the beach, his family, they were all part of something bigger, something dangerous. And now, someone outside knew he was getting closer to the truth. He heard a sound behind him, a soft footstep on the wet sand. He turned quickly, but no one was there. Only the gulls scattered into the sky, their cries piercing the silence. His heart beat faster. The beach, which had once felt like a place of freedom and play, now felt like a trap, like every grain of sand held a secret waiting to strike. When he returned to the house, his mother was inside arranging the furniture, humming softly to herself. The light coming through the windows made her hair glow like gold, and for a moment he almost forgot the fear gnawing at him. Almost, but the moment passed quickly. He felt it again, the presence, the watching eyes that followed him through the rooms. Shadows seemed to stretch and twist, moving in ways that defied logic. He clutched the old letter, the new box, anything that connected him to his father's warnings. He needed guidance, clarity, a plan to protect his mother from the dangers he could sense but could not fully see. Hours passed in a blur of tension. He tried to speak with his mother, to gauge her mood, to tell her something without revealing too much. But every word felt like a risk, a possible trigger that could change everything. He watched her, observed her habits, the way she moved, the way she smiled, all the while knowing that tomorrow, the truth about the house being sold would hit her like a storm. Late in the afternoon, he decided to explore the attic. It had always been a place of mystery, the one room in the house he had avoided for years. Dust and cobwebs coated every surface, and the smell of old wood and forgotten things filled the air. He found the trunks he remembered from childhood, each one locked or sealed. He opened them carefully, one by one, revealing photographs, letters, and objects that belonged to a life that seemed almost unreal. One photograph caught his attention. It showed his father standing by the edge of the beach holding a stranger's hand. The stranger's face was hidden, blurred, almost erased. But the image radiated a quiet menace, a sense of someone watching, someone waiting. He felt his chest tighten. His father's warnings were real, not just words to scare a child. Someone, some force, had always been observing them. And now it had returned as he descended from the attic. He heard it, a faint whisper, carried on the breeze through a cracked window. Protect her, or regret it forever. He froze. The words were unmistakable, echoing in the empty hallway. His mother called from the kitchen, unaware of the warning that had just reached him. But he knew. He could feel it in his bones. Danger was not just outside the house. It had seeped into its very walls, its very floors, and it would not be ignored. He placed the old letter and the photograph on the kitchen table, trying to make sense of the puzzle. His mind raced with questions. Who had been watching them all these years? Why now? And most importantly, how could he protect his mother from what was coming? Night began to fall again, and with it came the growing sense that the house was alive. Waiting, holding its secrets close but ready to reveal them in its own time. The shadows deepened, and the wind carried whispers that seemed almost human, almost deliberate. And then he heard a soft knock at the door again. Not the front door this time, but the steady, slow, deliberate, a rhythm he recognized from his childhood. One that had always meant someone was searching. Someone was looking for answers. He held his breath, listening. The house creaked, the walls groaned, and the air felt heavier, charged with anticipation. Every instinct screamed at him to run, to hide, to protect his mother at any cost. But he knew he had to face whatever was coming. He slowly approached the study door, hand trembling, heart pounding. The key he had found in the box felt cold in his hand, a talisman against the unknown. He placed it in the lock and turned it slowly. The door swung open, and for a moment the room seemed empty. Just the desk, the scattered papers, and the faint light of the lamp. But then he noticed a shadow moving in the corner. Just out of reach, just beyond understanding. He stepped closer. But the shadow retreated, disappearing into the darkness. A whisper followed. Soft, chilling, and urgent. Time is running out. He knew in that instant that the past had returned, that the house, the secrets, and the danger were all connected. And he also knew that tomorrow, when his mother discovered the truth about the beach house, nothing would ever be the same again. I still remember that evening. The sky outside had turned a deep orange, fading slowly into purple. And the waves whispered secrets to the shore as if they knew what was coming. The house, old and creaking, seemed to hold its breath. Every shadow looked alive, stretching across the walls like fingers reaching for him. He could feel the weight of the past pressing down, urging him forward, yet warning him to stay back. He had spent the day searching through the attic and the study, uncovering letters and photographs that hinted at a truth he hadn't fully grasped. But the more he discovered, the more he realized the danger was not just outside, was in the walls. In the rooms, in the very foundation of the house. It was as if the house itself were keeping score, watching him carefully, waiting for the moment to strike. His mother moved quietly through the house, humming softly as she dusted the shelves and straightened the pictures. She was oblivious to the storms swirling around them, to the secrets that had been buried in the sand and now clawed their way back to the surface. He wanted to tell her, to warn her, but the words stuck in his throat. The truth was heavier than any lie, and he feared it would shatter her completely. A soft creak came from the hallway. He froze. The sound was familiar, a subtle shifting that had always meant someone or something was moving just out of sight. His heart pounded in his chest, and he gripped the letter in his pocket tightly, letting it remind him of his father's warning. Keep her safe. He followed the sound cautiously, moving toward the guest bedroom. The door was slightly ajar, the knob warm from his mother's hand earlier in the day. As he pushed it open, he noticed a faint outline of a door behind a tall wardrobe he had never paid attention to. It was a small, narrow door hidden in the shadowed corner of the room. The kind of door a house keeps secret, hoping no one will ever find it. His pulse quickened. He had never noticed it before, and yet something about it felt familiar, almost inevitable. He stepped closer, brushing the dust away from the edges, revealing a keyhole that seemed to glint in the dim light. A memory hit him, suddenly a fleeting image of his father. Late at night, fiddling with a small key, a look of fear and determination on his face. That must have been it. This hidden room was the heart of the house's secrets. And now it was his turn to face it. He retrieved the key from the box he had found on the beach, the one buried in the sand years ago, and slid it into the lock. It fit perfectly. The door creaked as it opened slowly, revealing a narrow staircase that led down into darkness. A faint, musty smell drifted upward, mixing with the scent of old wood and dust. He hesitated. The letter burned in his pocket, a reminder of the stakes. Keep her safe. He couldn't let his mother see this. Not yet. Not until he knew what was waiting below. He descended carefully, one step at a time. The darkness seemed alive, pressing in from all sides. Yet he could see faint shapes, old furniture, boxes, and papers piled haphazardly. It was a storage room, but not just any storage room. There were documents, photographs, and objects that hinted at a life far more complicated than he had ever imagined. He picked up a photograph, dusting it off. It showed his father with a group of strangers, people he didn't recognize, standing on the very beach he had walked earlier. The shadows in the picture were long and distorted, almost unnatural. He felt a chill crawl up his spine. Who were these people? And why had his father been involved with them? A sound behind him made him jump, a soft shuffle, like a footstep on gravel. He spun around, but there was nothing there. Only the narrow staircase, the boxes, and the faint flicker of moonlight through a small, dusty window. He realized then that he wasn't alone. Someone had been in this room recently. The papers on the floor had been disturbed, and a thin layer of dust on a box had been wiped away, leaving fingerprints faint but visible. His mind raced. Who could it be? The figure from the window yesterday. Someone connected to his father's past. And what did they want from the house? From him? From his mother? He picked up the letter again, feeling the rough paper in his hands. Keep her safe. That was all that mattered. Whoever or whatever was coming, he had to protect her. He had to understand the secret before it was too late. He searched the room more carefully, moving boxes and papers aside. Hidden under a pile of old maps was a small chest, locked tight. He tried the key from the beach, but it didn't fit. He frowned. This was different. He would need another key, another piece of the puzzle. Suddenly, he heard footsteps above him, deliberate and slow. His mother. No, she would never move so quietly. Someone else was in the house. He froze, listening. The footsteps grew closer, approaching the door to the hidden room. Panic surged through him. If they found him here, if they found the room, the secrets, everything would be exposed. He looked around frantically, trying to find a place to hide. There was nowhere. The shadows in the room seemed to thicken, moving with a life of their own. He gripped the letter tighter, feeling its urgency pulse through him. The doorknob rattled. Someone was trying to open it. He pressed himself against the wall, heart hammering, eyes fixed on the shadows. The doorknob turned slowly, deliberately, and then it stopped. Silence. He held his breath, barely daring to blink. The house was alive with the memory of danger, every creak and groan a warning. Then a whisper, soft but unmistakable, carried through the room. You shouldn't be here. Could not see anyone. The shadows clung to the walls, but no figure was visible. Yet he knew they were there, watching, waiting, and judging every movement. He swallowed hard, trying to steady his trembling hands. The hidden room, the letters, the photographs, all of it had led to this moment. And yet he was still not ready. He didn't know who the watcher was, why they had returned, or how far they would go to uncover the secrets of the house. He heard another shuffle behind him, closer this time. The hair on his arms stood on end. Whoever it was, they were methodical, careful, and patient. They had been tracking him, watching his movements, waiting for him to reveal the secret he was guarding. He took a deep breath, forcing himself to think. The letter in his pocket reminded him of his father's words. Keep her safe. That was all that mattered. Protecting his mother was his priority. Even if it meant facing the unknown alone, he crept toward the narrow staircase, intending to ascend quietly and warn his mother. But as he reached the top step, a shadow detached itself from the far corner of the room. Not human, not fully, but moving with intent. He froze. The shadow stretched toward him, slow, deliberate, almost testing him. A chill ran down his spine as he realized it knew more than he did. It knew the house, the secrets, and perhaps even the letter. A voice barely audible whispered through the darkness, "The truth cannot stay hidden forever." And with that, the shadow receded, melting back into the darkness of the hidden room, leaving him alone once again. But he knew the warning was real. The danger was inside the house, inside the shadows. And he could no longer delay telling his mother the truth. The night was coming, and with it, the answers he had been seeking and the terror he had been trying to avoid. I still remember that night. The wind had picked up again, carrying the scent of the ocean into the house. The waves crashed harder now, more urgent, like a warning. The old beach house groaned under the pressure of the storm outside, each creak of the wood echoing like a secret being whispered. Inside, the lights flickered and shadows stretched along the walls as if they were alive. He could feel the tension pressing down on him. Heavier than ever, he had spent the evening trying to organize the papers and letters he had discovered earlier. The hidden room, the photographs, the notes, they all pointed to a story he did not yet understand. His father's warnings had been clear. Keep her safe. But now he realized the danger wasn't just abstract. It was real, and someone or something was closing in. His mother moved through the living room, humming softly as she arranged the chairs. She seemed unaware of the storm brewing both outside and inside the house. But he noticed the small changes, the way her eyes flicked toward the windows, the way she paused mid-step as if listening for something he couldn't hear. She was beginning to sense it, just barely, and he knew it. Suddenly the doorbell rang. Not a soft chime, but a sharp, deliberate ring that made him jump. His heart raced. Visitors at this hour were unusual, dangerous even. He exchanged a glance with his mother. She frowned, puzzled. I'll check, he said, forcing calm into his voice. He stepped toward the door, every nerve on edge. Through the peephole, he saw a man standing in the shadows, face obscured by a hood. There was something familiar about the posture, the way the figure held himself, but he couldn't place it. Who is it? His mother called from behind him. I don't know. Just wait here, he whispered, gripping the letter in his pocket. He unlocked the door slowly, peering out. The figure didn't move, just stared at the house with a strange intensity. Can I help you? He asked cautiously. The man's voice was low, controlled. It's almost a whisper. I need to speak with your mother. Something in the tone made his blood run cold. He stepped back, blocking the doorway. It's late. She's resting. The man's hood shifted, and for a brief moment he saw his eyes. The resemblance was unmistakable, someone from his father's past. Someone connected to the letters, the photographs, the warnings. His pulse quickened. I know about the house, the man said quietly, but with authority. I know what's hidden here. And I know why you're trying to protect her. His mother had moved closer, curiosity overtaking caution. Who are you? She asked, voice trembling slightly. The man looked at her, then back at him. I am someone who wants to help, but I cannot let anyone else find out what is here. He stepped forward, instinctively protective. What do you mean? Help. Who are you? The stranger hesitated, then reached into his coat and pulled out a small worn notebook. Your father and I? We shared secrets. Secrets about this house and what it guards. Now you are being watched. You are not safe. His stomach dropped. Watched? By who? The man shook his head. By those who will stop at nothing to uncover what is hidden. And they have been waiting. For years. The house felt colder suddenly, shadows lengthening in the flickering light. The letters in his pocket burned with urgency, reminding him of his father's warnings. Keep her safe. He realized that the danger was not just approaching Yeet, was inside the walls. His mother's hand touched his arm. "What is happening?" she asked softly. Her voice betrayed fear, confusion, and a growing realization that something terrible was at play. The stranger glanced at her. It's time she knew. The truth cannot stay hidden. But it's dangerous. Very dangerous. He took a step forward. No, not yet. She doesn't understand. She can't know everything. Please, you have to leave. The man's eyes softened briefly. I can't leave. Not until she knows. And not until you understand what your father was protecting you from. He felt trapped, panic rising. The house seemed to close in around him. Shadows stretched across the walls, moving as if alive, whispering warnings he couldn't decipher. His mother's curiosity battled with fear, and he realized that soon. He would have to tell her the truth, or risk everything. The stranger leaned closer, voice low but urgent. There are things hidden in this house that can't fall into the wrong hands. Letters, objects, even memories. All of it is dangerous. And someone knows you are here. They are coming tonight. His heart pounded. Coming? Who? What do you want from us? The man's eyes were solemn. To take what is hidden, to uncover what was meant to stay buried. And they won't stop until they have it. A sudden crash from upstairs made all three of them jump. His mother gasped. What was that? He knew immediately it wasn't the wind. Someone was in the house. The stranger's eyes widened. They've arrived. The shadows seemed to shift closer, pressing in from the corners of the room. The letter in his pocket felt like it was burning him. He knew he had to act quickly. The warnings from his father, the stranger's urgency, the feeling of being hunted, it all came together. Tonight would be the night that would change everything. The man glanced at him, then his mother. You need to stay together. No one leaves this room. Don't trust the shadows, and whatever you do, don't answer the door again. He nodded, fear and determination battling inside him. The house creaked again, louder this time, as if acknowledging the presence of intruders. Footsteps, deliberate and slow, echoed in the hallway outside the room. He moved to stand in front of his mother, shielding her. Stay behind me, he whispered. The doorknob rattled. A shadow fell across the hallway. The stranger whispered, They know you are here. They will not stop. He could feel the tension, thick and suffocating, pressing against his chest. The waves outside grew louder, almost frantic, as if echoing the danger inside. Every instinct screamed at him to protect his mother, to uncover the truth, to survive the night. Then the doorknob began to turn slowly, deliberately, and the whisper came again. Closer, chilling. Time is almost up. He swallowed hard, gripping the letter in his pocket. The stranger and his mother looked to him, eyes wide with fear and trust. The moment of truth had arrived. And there was no turning back. The door opened just a crack and everything changed. I still remember that night. It's the night when the house seemed to breathe with its own life. The storm outside had grown fiercer, the wind howling like a pack of wolves across the empty beach. The waves crashed harder, echoing through the walls as if warning everyone inside. He could feel the pressure, the tension in the air, heavy and almost unbearable. Every shadow, every corner seemed to move. Alive with unseen eyes, the stranger had gone silent after the initial warnings. Sitting near the doorway with a sharp gaze, listening. His mother clutched his arm, trembling slightly, fear radiating from her in waves he could feel. He tried to calm himself, but his heart pounded like a drum in a storm. They weren't alone. Not anymore. Suddenly a creak echoed from the hallway, a deliberate, slow step. Another followed. Footsteps, light but purposeful, moving closer to the room. He felt the floorboards under his feet vibrate with each step. Whoever it was, they weren't just wandering. They knew exactly where they were going. The stranger hissed under his breath. They've split up. One is upstairs, the other is here. He swallowed hard. Who? Why? They want what is hidden. Everything your father left behind. And they won't hesitate to hurt anyone in their way. A shadow moved past the doorway. He froze. He could feel it watching him, circling, testing him. His mother gasped quietly. What do we do? He shook his head, gripping her hand briefly. We stay together. Don't make a sound. We have to wait for the right moment. The footsteps grew louder. The doorknob rattled again, slow and deliberate. Then silence. His chest tightened, and he could feel sweat dripping down his back. The letter in his pocket burned against his side. Keep her safe. His father's warning repeated in his mind. That warning had never felt so urgent. The shadow outside the door shifted. Then, a whisper, barely audible but clear. I know you're in there. He looked at the stranger, eyes wide. What do we do? The stranger's voice was low, urgent. I will distract them. You get your mother to the hidden room in the attic. It's the safest place. Hurry. Without waiting for a response, the stranger slipped toward the hallway, silent as a ghost. The doorknob rattled violently now. The shadow pressed against the doorframe. He could see the darkness pressing closer, as if it had form, as if it were alive. Go now. The stranger whispered urgently. He grabbed his mother's hand, pulling her through the hallway. The air was thick, oppressive, and he could hear voices soft, cruel, deliberate echoing in the darkness outside the walls. He led her up the narrow staircase to the attic, moving as quickly as he could without making a sound. The attic door was heavy, but he forced it open, pulling her inside. Dust and cobwebs coated everything, but for once the smell of old wood felt safe, familiar. He closed the door behind them and locked it, pressing his ear against the wood. Footsteps echoed below, deliberate, searching. A shadow passed under the attic window, twisting across the floorboards. The voices came again, low and menacing. They're here. The papers, the letters, the house. They're ours. He gritted his teeth, holding his mother close. Her trembling intensified, but she didn't speak. She was trusting him, relying on him to protect her. And the weight of that responsibility pressed down harder than anything he had ever known. Suddenly, a crash sounded from the hallway below. Something heavy had been thrown, hitting the wall with a force that shook the house. The shadow paused, then retreated slightly, but the threat was clear. They were inside and they knew where the secrets were. He glanced at the hidden box from the beach, still in his pocket, still burning with urgency. The letters, the photographs, the key, they were all part of a puzzle, and someone wanted them badly. He couldn't let them have it. His mother whispered, Who are they? Why are they here? I don't know, he admitted, his voice shaking. But they've been waiting a long time, and they won't stop until they find what they want. The wind howled outside, rattling the windows. The house groaned as if warning him, as if urging him to act. Shadows moved again, just beyond the attic window. He pressed his back against the wall, trying to steady his breathing. Then he heard the strangest sound, a whisper. Not from the hallway, not from outside, but from inside the house. You cannot hide forever. His mother gasped. He could feel her heartbeat through her chest, fast and erratic. He tried to calm her, to calm himself. But every instinct screamed that the danger was closer than ever. A sudden movement in the corner of the attic made him jump. A figure emerged from the shadows, small, quick, and deliberate. It was not one of the intruders downstairs. It was something else, something familiar yet unexpected. A memory surged in his mind, the same shadow he had glimpsed in the hidden room. The figure moved closer, silent, almost floating. Its presence was cold, heavy, and impossible to ignore. He felt a chill run down his spine. Who? What are you? He asked, voice trembling. The figure stopped, just out of reach. And then it spoke, low and urgent. The time is near. The house will reveal its secrets. Be ready, or all will be lost. The attic seemed to close in around them, the shadows stretching longer, moving with intent. He realized that the intruders were not the only threat. The house itself had secrets that were waking, secrets that demanded attention. Secrets that would not wait. A sudden crash from below shook the attic floorboards. The intruders had broken through something, moving closer to where the secrets were hidden. He grabbed his mother's hand, gripping it tightly. "We have to be ready," he whispered. "Whatever is coming, we face it together." The wind screamed through the cracks in the walls. Shadows moved. Whispers echoed through the house, and then the attic door rattled violently, as if someone or something was trying to break in. He pressed himself against the wall, clutching the letters, the key, and his mother, and whispered a silent prayer. The night had begun, and the shadows in the hallway were closing in. I still remember that night. The storm had reached its peak, and the wind whipped around the old beach house, rattling the windows and doors like it was angry at the world. The waves crashed violently against the shore, each one echoing through the walls as though warning him. Inside, the house felt alive, almost conscious, groaning and creaking with every gust. Shadows moved in the corners, stretching and twisting unnaturally. He could feel their presence, watching, waiting, testing him. He held his mother close in the attic, heart pounding in his chest. She trembled, eyes wide, trying to process everything. The stranger's warnings echoed in his mind. They will not stop until they find what they want. Every word now made sense. The danger wasn't just outside. It had been inside the house for years, hidden among its walls. Waiting for the right moment, the rattling of the attic door below grew louder, more forceful. Whoever or whatever was down there was determined. The wind seemed to carry whispers now, soft but urgent. The truth. The truth. The truth must come out. Swallowed hard, feeling the weight of the hidden letters, the photographs, the key in his pocket. Each object felt heavier than before, like they held not just memories, but power. He glanced at his mother. "We can't stay here forever. We have to find the hidden room. The room my father warned us about." Her eyes filled with fear. "Are you sure? What if it's dangerous?" He nodded. "I don't know, but it's the only place where we might understand. We need to see everything before it's too late." The two of them crept down the narrow attic staircase, careful to avoid the loose floorboards that creaked under weight. Every shadow seemed to watch their movement, every gust of wind felt like it carried someone's voice. When they reached the top of the hallway, he peered around the corner. The intruders were still moving slowly through the main floor, their flashlights sweeping across the rooms, searching for the hidden objects. He led his mother toward the guest bedroom, the door with the hidden staircase leading to the secret room. He held the key tightly in his hand, feeling the leather worn from years of hiding. The house seemed to shiver as they approached, as though it knew they were about to uncover the truth. He opened the small hidden door, revealing the narrow staircase leading down. Dust and cobwebs coated the walls, and the smell of old wood mixed with something faintly metallic. He led his mother down slowly, one careful step at a time. At the bottom was a small chamber, dimly lit by the moonlight filtering through a tiny window. The air was thick and musty, but it smelled safe. Familiar somehow, like a place that had been waiting for them. Inside the chamber were shelves lined with documents. Boxes filled with photographs and objects that seemed ordinary until he looked closer. Some were letters written in his father's hand. Others were items he had never seen before, strange symbols etched into wood, old trinkets, and papers that hinted at secrets too heavy to comprehend in a single glance. He picked up a photograph carefully. It showed his father standing beside a man he did not recognize, both holding small keys similar to the one in his hand. Behind them, faint in the background, was the beach house, but it looked different, almost alive. He shivered. Something about the image sent a chill down his spine. A sound from above made him freeze, a faint footstep, deliberate and slow. His mother gasped softly. He pressed a finger to his lips, signaling her to stay silent. The footsteps grew louder, moving toward the hidden door. He could feel the tension thickening in the air, each heartbeat echoing like a drum in the quiet room. Then a voice, low and harsh, came from the staircase above. "I know you're down there. Give it to me." Clench the key tightly. "We can't. It's not for you." Another step, and then the doorknob rattled violently. Someone was trying to force the door open. Panic surged through him. He looked around the room, trying to find anything that could protect them. The letters, the photographs, even the objects seemed alive now, whispering urgency, warning him to act. He felt the presence of the shadow again, the one he had glimpsed in the attic and the hidden room before. It seemed to move closer, circling the chamber, guiding him. A whisper reached his ear. "The truth must be revealed. You are ready." He glanced at his mother. Her fear had turned into determination, her eyes now reflecting the same resolve he felt. "We'll face it together," he whispered. Suddenly, a hand slammed against the staircase railing above. "Open it." The intruder shouted. "You don't understand what's at stake." He braced himself. "We don't understand either, but we won't let you take it." The intruder's flashlight beam swept across the chamber, landing on the boxes and papers. He could see the greed and urgency in their eyes, the desire to possess what had been hidden for decades. He moved quickly, pulling the letters and the key closer to him, stacking them safely in his arms. Then he remembered the small chest that had resisted the key earlier. He ran to it, prying it open with a strength he didn't know he had. Inside were documents and photographs that revealed everything: names, dates, connections to powerful forces. The reason the house had always felt alive, always guarded, always dangerous. The intruder screamed from above, frustration in their voice. "I said open it." He knew there was no time. The secrets were too important to be lost, too dangerous to fall into the wrong hands. He held the papers tightly, feeling their weight, their power, their history. And then he noticed something else, another hidden compartment in the chest, small, perfectly carved, as if it had been waiting for him. He opened it slowly. Inside was a small folded note, written in his father's hand. "If you have found this, the time has come. Protect her. Protect the house. Protect the truth." A sudden crash above made him spin around. The intruder had forced the hidden door open. Shadows poured into the chamber, crawling down the stairs, twisting along the walls like living things. He held his mother close, the letters pressed to his chest. The shadows and the intruder moved closer. And then he heard a whisper from the corner of the room, soft, urgent, almost human. "The past is here. The past will claim what is owed." His mother clutched his arm. "What do we do?" she asked, voice trembling. He swallowed hard, heart pounding. "We fight, or we don't survive." And in that moment, the chamber seemed to close in around them. The shadows pressing closer, the intruder reaching for the secrets, and the house itself seeming to prepare for what was about to happen. I still remember that night. The storm outside had reached a fury that rattled the walls and shook the floors. The waves pounded against the shore as if trying to warn everyone inside. The house groaned under the pressure, every creak a reminder that secrets do not stay hidden forever. Shadows twisted and shifted in the corners, reaching toward him and his mother like dark fingers. Every step they took felt like it disturbed something ancient, something alive. The intruder had entered the hidden chamber, moving deliberately, eyes scanning every corner. His mother clung to his side, trembling, but he could feel her determination growing. She had sensed the danger all along, and now facing it directly. She refused to back down. The stranger from earlier had disappeared into the shadows when the intruder broke in, leaving them alone to face the threat. He swallowed hard, heart pounding, and pressed the letters, photographs, and notes tightly against his chest. These were the secrets his father had protected. The same secrets the intruder desperately wanted. The intruder stepped closer, hand outstretched. "Give it to me," he demanded, voice cold and hard. "Everything your father hid belongs to me now." "No," he whispered, gripping the letters tighter. "You won't take it. Not from me. Not from her. Not from this house." The intruder's eyes narrowed, and for a moment A flicker of something, anger, fear, recognition crossed his face. You don't understand. The past is not gone. What your father did, it affects everything, and now you are in it. He felt a chill crawl up his spine. The shadows in the room seemed to respond, stretching longer, moving closer. It was as if the house itself were alive, ready to defend its secrets. He could hear whispers in the corners, soft and urgent. Protect, protect, protect. His mother spoke, voice trembling but strong. You don't get it. This house, these papers, they're not yours. You don't know what you're messing with. The intruder hesitated, a flicker of doubt crossing his face. That moment was all the narrator needed. He moved quickly, blocking the intruder's path with his body and guiding his mother toward a small alcove in the chamber. The shadows seemed to swirl around them, protective. Guiding their movements, a sudden crash from the main room above shook the floorboards. The intruder spun, alarmed. They're coming! He shouted. He didn't wait to hear more. He grabbed his mother's hand and moved toward the back of the chamber. Toward another hidden door his father had once whispered about. The door led to a narrow tunnel, damp and faintly lit by the moonlight through cracks in the walls. As they entered the tunnel, the intruder followed, furious and relentless. You can't run from this. The truth will be mine. The shadows seemed to rise from the walls, moving like living creatures guiding their path. He could hear the intruder's footsteps behind them, heavy and desperate. The tunnel twisted and turned, leading them deeper beneath the house, away from the intruder but closer to the heart of the secret. Finally, they reached a small circular room at the end of the tunnel. The walls were lined with old wood, and in the center was a box carved with strange symbols, faintly glowing in the dim light. The letters, photographs, and notes fit perfectly inside. Like pieces of a puzzle, he placed them gently in the box, feeling the weight lift slightly from his shoulders. The house seemed to exhale, the shadows retreating into the corners. Satisfied that the secrets were protected, but the intruder was not done. He lunged at them, trying to grab the box. They struggled, and in the scuffle, the box tipped slightly, revealing a small compartment inside. Hidden within was a key, another piece of the puzzle. One that had been kept secret even from him, he realized. With a jolt, that this key unlocked the final secret. The truth his father had protected all his life. But the intruder was stronger, more determined. Their struggle intensified, shadows dancing violently on the walls. Then, in a desperate move, he reached into the compartment, took the key, and held it tightly. The intruder screamed, furious, but the shadows surged forward, almost as if alive. Holding him back, he turned to his mother. This is it. The truth. We have to finish it together. Together, they placed the key into a small lock hidden in the corner of the room. It clicked, and a hidden panel swung open, revealing a small vault. Inside were documents, photographs, and objects that explained everything. The father's past, the reason the intruders wanted the house, and the secret legacy that had been entrusted to them. The intruder roared, realizing he had lost. The shadows seemed to rise, pressing him back, guiding him out of the tunnel. He struggled, but there was no escape. The house had chosen its protectors. Finally, the intruder fell silent, retreating into the darkness from which he came. The storm outside began to calm, the wind easing, and the waves softened their pounding against the shore. The house groaned one last time, as if sighing in relief. He looked at his mother, her face pale but relieved. "We did it," she whispered. He nodded, holding her close. "We protected it. Together." The secrets of the house were safe, for now. But he knew the danger could return, that the past had not completely let go. Still, in that moment, they had survived, and the truth was finally in their hands. I still remember that morning. The storm had passed, leaving the beach slick and gray, the waves calmer but still restless. The house, battered by wind and rain, stood silently, almost proud, as if it had survived another battle. Sunlight filtered weakly through the clouds, casting long shadows across the walls. still carrying the weight of the night before. He felt exhausted, every muscle tense, every nerve raw. The adrenaline that had kept him moving now left him trembling. His mother sat on the floor of the hidden room, hands clasped tightly, staring at the documents, photographs, and objects spread before them. Her eyes were tired, haunted, but determined. "I still can't believe it," she whispered. "All these years, all these secrets." He knelt beside her, running his fingers over the papers. "I know. I didn't understand it either until last night." The intruder. The shadows. It wasn't just about the house. It was about protecting our family, our legacy, everything Dad worked to keep safe. She nodded slowly, swallowing hard. "And the letters, the photos, the key, everything Dad left behind. It's a map of who we are, isn't it?" He exhaled deeply. "Yes, it's our past. And it's dangerous." That intruder wanted it all. He knew what we were holding, and he would have taken it, even if it meant hurting us. A sudden creak from upstairs made them both freeze. For a moment, he thought the intruder had returned. But it was only the house settling, groaning in its old bones. Still, the tension lingered, a reminder that the past was never truly gone. They spent the morning organizing the papers, carefully placing each document back into the chest, understanding the connections, the secrets, the hidden stories of the house and their family. The photographs showed events he had never known, people his father had trusted, places they had visited, and dangers they had faced. The letters spoke of warnings, advice, and lessons meant to protect them. His mother picked up one of the photographs, a small smile breaking through the tension for the first time. "He wanted us to know this, to understand, to protect it." He nodded. "And now we do." That intruder. He won't get another chance. We've survived the night, and the house has protected us. But we have to be careful. Secrets like these, they always attract danger. They worked silently for hours, the weight of the night slowly lifting, replaced by a sense of resolve. They knew the intruder could return, that the shadows of the past were not done with them yet. But they also knew they had survived, they had protected the truth, and they had each other. A sudden knock at the front door startled them both. He froze, heart pounding, and motioned for his mother to stay back. Slowly, he crept toward the door, careful not to make a sound. Through the peephole, he saw no one. Just the empty beach, the wet sand, and the wind carrying the scent of salt and rain. He hesitated, then opened the door slightly. Nothing. Only a small envelope lay on the doorstep. He picked it up, hands trembling. The envelope was old, worn, and sealed with wax. No name, no address, just a symbol he recognized from the hidden room, from his father's letters. He tore it open carefully. Inside was a note written in the same hand as the one in the chest. "The past has been revealed. The secrets are safe for now. But beware, the shadows never truly leave. Protect what matters always." He felt a chill run down his spine. The warning was clear. They had survived, but the story was not over. The house, the secrets, the legacy, they were all connected. And danger could return at any time. His mother took his hand, eyes filled with trust and love. "We'll face it together," she said softly. He nodded, feeling the same determination. Together, they had survived the intruder, uncovered the truth, and protected the legacy of their family. But he knew, deep down, that vigilance would be needed. The past had a way of lingering, and the shadows were never far away. The day grew brighter, sunlight breaking through the clouds. The house seemed to relax, the air lighter, the shadows less threatening. But the memory of the storm, the intruder, and the night's terror remained. A reminder that the past, no matter how well hidden, always finds a way to reach the present. They sat together in the hidden room. The chest closed and locked, the letters and photographs safe. For now, the house was quiet, the secrets protected, and the threat gone. But in the back of his mind, he knew one thing. The shadows were patient. The past never forgets. And the night would always hold its mysteries. And as they finally rose, stepping out of the hidden room together, he whispered to himself, "We survived. But we must always remember, the truth is never truly safe. I still remember that night, the night everything changed. The night the storm finally passed, leaving the house and our lives forever altered. The beach was quiet now, only the soft whispers of the waves brushing against the shore. The air smelled of salt and rain, fresh yet carrying a memory of what had happened. He could feel the weight of the past lifting slightly, though he knew it would never fully disappear. He and his mother had spent the day in the hidden room, organizing the letters, photographs, and objects. The chest was closed, locked, and its contents safe for now. They had survived the intruder, uncovered the full secret of the house, and faced the shadows that had haunted them. Yet, even in the calm, he felt the presence of the past lingering. A quiet reminder that truth and danger often walk hand in hand. His mother finally broke the silence. Her voice soft but filled with resolve. "We've done what your father asked. We've protected the house, the secrets, and each other. But I feel we're not finished. The past isn't done with us yet." He nodded, understanding perfectly. "We're not. But we're stronger now. Together we can face whatever comes. The shadows, the secrets. We know them, we've survived them, and we're ready." They stepped out of the hidden room together. The sunlight from the morning spilling into the house, highlighting its worn wooden floors and faded walls. Everything seemed peaceful, but he knew better. The house had a way of keeping its stories, of whispering them to anyone who listened closely. He could almost hear it now faintly. Remember, protect, watch. Outside, the beach stretched wide, waves rolling gently. The storm's fury replaced by calm. He looked at his mother, feeling a deep surge of gratitude and love. She had been terrified, yet brave, holding on to him as he had held on to her. They had survived fear, danger, and the unknown together. He reached into his pocket, touching the letters and the key one last time. They were more than just objects. They were history, legacy, and a responsibility. He realized that the story of the house, the family, and the secrets would live on, not just in the papers and photographs, but in them, in how they carried the truth forward. A faint rustle behind him made him turn. At first, he thought it was the intruder returning, but it was only the shadows of the trees moving in the morning breeze. He laughed softly, relief mixing with lingering tension. The night had been long and terrifying, but now, with the storm gone, he felt a fragile sense of peace. Still, he knew the warning was real. The note, the shadows, and the stranger's words all reminded him, the past is patient. The shadows never truly leave. The danger might return, but now they were ready. And they had learned to trust the strength inside themselves and each other. His mother took his hand, eyes shining with determination. "We've survived and we'll protect what matters. No one will take it from us." He nodded, a sense of calm settling over him. Together, always together. As they walked down to the beach, the sun breaking through the clouds, he felt a quiet confidence. The house, the letters, the photographs, they were all safe, at least for now. And while the shadows of the past might linger, the night had taught them that courage, love, and unity could overcome even the darkest threats. He looked out at the horizon, waves stretching endlessly, and whispered to himself, "We survived the night, uncovered the truth, and protected our legacy. But we will always remember. Secrets never die, and the past is never truly gone." If you enjoyed this story, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Remember, sometimes the past hides in the shadows, but courage and love can protect what matters most.